Hi guys, with all the energy.
I was gonna say, like, that was a little.
I'm tired. Life has been tiring.
I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. Alright,
That's the way the world is right now.
I know, right?
To date ourselves, it's during the whole stupid Corona pandemic.
Hey, welcome to lockdown. So let's.
But apparently my job is essential.
Gotta have them woods.
Right? It doesn't make any sense.
Anyway, let's just jump right into this. We're talking about.
Overlord.
Alright, and,
Particularly just the first season. So
yes, yes. I did watch part of the second season. I think I'm
I
over
I
halfway
got
through.
I got a little bit into it too. So
So, first season, I liked the first season. I really did.
that's good.
It was solid. It was so I think the point that I'd like to make is like there needs to be a spectrum of these video game shows. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because it seems like there's like a wave of good and bad, right?
Oh,
So,
they are very split down the middle.
well, I'm saying like in terms of like so we watched a lot of these, like a lot of these types of shows, right?
Yeah.
And then like we'll start off on the bad end because like there is a bad end, right? So we we start off with hyper realism, which to me was really aggravating with Log Horizon, right?
Uh,
Where I'm,
yeah,
I'm
okay,
where it's
like,
where it's politically based, right?
yes, where
Because
it's,
it's about the world itself.
yes.
And then we get to and then it comes back up and goes to like Overlord, where it's about a character, it's about their experiences, it's about, like there's an arc, and it's not there's action to it, right? Because
Yeah.
it's not just the person, and it's not just the politics behind what's going on, it's the actual functional action of what's going on in the world.
Yes. There's things are happening.
And then it comes up, and then it dips down, and then it goes to Sword Art Online,
I knew you were gonna mention that.
where like there's no exploration, right?
Yeah.
But they're central characters, but they kind of miss out on the world building.
Yeah.
And then it comes back up and is like Konosuba, where it's completely just a parody of these kind of shows, right?
Kind of, yeah.
And then what was the other one that was like a parody but like was completely pointless?
Oh gosh.
You know what you know what I'm talking about?
I don't remember.
God, where it was just like what's the frickin' point?
It's gonna bug me, but I'm pretty sure we had another one like that, yeah.
Yeah, I know it wasn't.
Regardless.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I know it wasn't Picks Up Girls in a Dungeon, but it was along those lines. Because Picks Up Girls in a Dungeon was more Konosuba-ish, where it was pretty funny.
And we never watched that one.
You haven't watched that one? I watched that
We have
one.
no. I was gonna say I haven't watched that one.
Okay, I watched that one. That was that was going to be one of my suggestions later on. But but it's one of those. So I think this hits a very good balance between action and story.
Yes, because like the whole premise of the show is like I really enjoyed the fact that like I love these series where it's like this like the whole thing is like, oh yeah, it was like video game and stuff, but like he didn't really get ported into the game.
He
It
just
was
never
where
got
the
logged out.
well, I mean, the world he became his character, but like the world kind of merged with like a different one, so it wasn't the actual game world,
I I think the
but there was
point
a lot of elements of it.
I was gonna say, I think the point is that you can tell that the world was established.
Yes.
Because like it's not like one of those stories where it's all, like we'll go Sword Art Online because a lot of people know that one, right? Where it's a new game and new players with a new experience of this world.
Yeah.
Or any of the other ones, for example, was it No Game No Life? Is the one we did last time?
Yeah.
Where like they're taken out of their world and just thrown into this world, so it's brand new to them. This guy who's ported into the game knows the game.
Yes, but then he realizes that like he's not in the normal game and like things are different and like he's trying to gather information mostly.
Yeah, but the thing is that there's established rules.
Yes, there
And
is. And like some of the elements from his game world are in this world and he knows these things.
but having it's there's a difference between having that already established and known for the main character as opposed to not known for the main character.
Yes, he's not just like some lost person that has to learn everything from scratch.
Because like what was another one? What was the one that where the person died? They like went back with Ren and
Oh,
Ram
ReZero.
ReZero, where ReZero was, the guy comes in and is all like, okay, what's the money thing? Like kind of happens upon this person and they're just happen to be rich and like all their problems are miraculously solved like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So like you don't need that. You don't need that because he's already established in the world.
Yes.
And I think that makes it much more palatable. Like I feel more comfortable knowing that the character is established and how they're established and that their establishment really doesn't matter, as opposed to having someone come along and save them and then just happen to be like one of the most powerful characters ever.
Yeah, he just happens to be, but they're completely useless at first. That's not the way it is at all.
No. And
Like like Ainz himself, like the main dude, he's like he was the guild leader. Of this of this video game like in this video game it was like a 41 man guild that like the game was which the idea of this game was cool where you get to program and make whatever you wanted more or
yeah.
less like
Oh,
you got to create things in it and make things like as powerful as you could make them and like these guild members like the main core of the guild created these like guardians of their guild hall that they made this guild hall too.
yeah. Actually, that brings up kind of some questions I have probably later on, like what other guilds were doing and like how they were established and like so I mean the good thing about that is that it leaves plenty of room for additions on.
Yeah, because like the whole premise is like Ainz doesn't know if there's any other players from because like all the other like supporting characters of this, like all the people in here are the guardians that were created by his other guild members. Like he's the only like player character. The rest are technically NPCs.
And then function like player characters after the changes.
Yes, he realizes that a lot of these people the way that these NPCs are acting are very reminiscent of his guild members, the ones that created these people.
Yeah. And like
And
I'm just gonna say the NPCs regard the player characters as like gods.
yes,
So
because they know that they were created by these player characters and they know that they're technically just like guardians and NPCs.
but that's an important thing to put out there because
Yes.
otherwise a lot of their interactions become very very awkward.
Yes. Like Ainz realizes he's because they know him as the guild master and they constantly say like we pledge our loyalty because you are the only one of the creators that stayed.
Yeah, or is left. I don't know if
Yeah,
they.
that is here. That is
Yeah,
here. That didn't abandon us.
I don't even think it was phrased that way.
No, it wasn't phrased like that. I don't remember how it was, but it's basically put out as like you're the only one that's here.
Yeah,
Like our original creators are not here. You are the one we are pledging loyalty to.
Oh, here's another thing that's very pertinent for the information. For in terms of like how this pacing of the show goes, is that they don't introduce all the characters of the guild
No, they don't.
because like I'm speaking NPC wise in the first season because that's all we're gonna like really push.
Yeah.
Um, they focus on they focus on quite a few, but the fact of the matter is that there's more yet to be explored in that area.
Yeah, like one of them in particular was none of the other guardians know who the eighth level guardian is.
Yes.
Like they know the name, but none of them have ever seen them. And on top of that, like uh they like until later in the season, they knew, some of them knew about, like I think it was like Albedo knew
Yep.
that who Ainz himself created, because he only created one guardian,
I
and what?
Pandora.
Oh yeah, he created Pandora,
Oh, that's so dumb.
which I loved him
Oh, for
because like
for
his whole
all the wrong
shtick was,
reasons.
yes, he was just stupid and funny. And like even Ainz gets like really embarrassed by it. And he's just like, "Well, you programmed me. You made me like this because you thought it was cool." And Ainz is just like, "No, and call me by this now," because he changed like his original name to be like the name of what the guild was.
Yeah.
And
There's
he's just like, "Call me this now." And Pandora responds in German, and he's just like, "And stop, don't speak German."
Yeah, I don't know where that was going, but I don't
I, I,
want to know.
I just thought it was funny. And it's the fact that he got introduced later, and like no, a lot of the other guardians have never met Pandora, because like the only way to get into the treasury is to basically either try and break your way in, because there's no physical like entrance to it,
Yeah.
or you needed the ring to teleport you throughout the guild area, like along the stronghold.
Yeah. Well, let's just go with like what the
Sorry, I
cuz
wanted to mention Pandora because he was awesome.
yeah. I just wanted to say like through the first season there's two main plot lines I'd like to say
There is, yes.
cuz there's the plot line where he changes his name and then kind of throws it out there that this guild is still around, like there's people searching for an exit to other players of the game. Um kind of like in an establishment wise thing, right?
Yeah, he's trying to make his name known, so if there are any of his old guild mates, they'll try like going to him.
I don't think it was just guildmates because I think he knows all the guildmates are gone because he was the only one left there. They
Actually, like at least in the manga, it's more geared towards he's trying to see if any of his other friends are in the world, but are just separated.
Okay. Well, in the show, it shows that there's only two people left, and he says goodbye, and the person logs off, so he's the only
Yeah,
person on when they shut the servers down.
yeah, but
Um,
he doesn't know
he
like if
he doesn't know if
they,
there's other players.
but he also doesn't know if his other members are somewhere in the world, but they just weren't there because they had logged off.
Okay. I think in the show it just assumes people who were logged off weren't around, but that I'm not exactly sure how that goes. The so he goes and basically actually no, there are three plot lines because he goes and destroys a band of soldiers that attack a village.
Yeah, the knights, and that like when he first got into the world.
Yeah, so he first gets in the world, he kills a whole bunch, and then so he kind of
Which
sets
it
that up as his village to look after.
which they also did this as a like a character point where he learns that these soldiers are attacking this village, and at first he wasn't going to help.
Yeah, at first he wasn't going to, but he.
But and then he also comes to the realization where since I'm an undead, maybe my morals are being warped a little bit.
Yeah, and they didn't really touch on that afterward.
Like they still kind of do because like he makes the point like afterwards where like the guardians are just like, oh, like we should maybe aim for world domination, and he's like, that's not a bad idea.
That's
he,
that's
he
kind
just
of
kind
hilarious though.
he thinks about it, and like it's the fact that he points out he's like, some of my thoughts are not exactly what I would normally think.
Yeah, that's fair enough. But so there's that plot line, and then we move on to the second plot line, which is um him going into the guilds and doing guild stuff.
Becoming an adventurer to try
Yeah,
raising his reputation to gather information.
and then ends up taking down a um, two bone dragons and an assassin that turns people into zombies.
I was gonna say he didn't even take down the bone dragons. It was one of his maids,
Oh no, I knew that much, but it was one of those things that's just like
which is
that's
funnier. Oh yeah, and like the fact that oh man, that's just so cool when the assassin like stabs through like his helmet's eye holes and she's just like, "How are you not dead?" And then he just removes it to reveal his undead face with like with the daggers or like the sword sticking through the eye holes.
should I'm actually gonna stop here for a second on the plot because that's another thing that comes up every once in a while for us is artistic direction because there are some that are just like about the ugly shows, right?
Yes, the ones that just look are just animated terribly.
And like the ones that have like weird color schemes, and then the ones that like for example light coming from the wrong direction. Way to go, Castlevania. Um, but like you know how crazy you have to be to commit to having a skull for a main character's face.
Oh yeah,
That
but
is insane.
they do. I laugh so hard when they do the whenever like it's like the jokey parts where like the guardians are like say something or like going over the board, especially like albedo, like whenever she's like being overly affectionate, and Ainz he just has that like it actually like changes his face
Oh yeah.
to just be kind of like that deadpan face. It reminds me a lot of Full Metal Alchemist with Alphonse.
Okay, I haven't done Full Metal Alchemist. Like I've seen
It
pieces of it, but I,
the one in the armor one.
yeah.
The one that's the suit of armor. Like during certain comedy bits, like his obviously since his head is just a helmet, like it's just that like the straight face. During like the comedy bits and stuff, it has his face actually showing like more emotion and like turning and like doing different expressions.
Yeah, no, it's I I think that it wasn't just like it wasn't just a call on a whim. I think that it like actually is a payoff in
And
a
it's
lot of the show.
they make it so his mouth doesn't even move either.
Yeah, no, he's
But which I did catch this in the anime for the anime. Like it's cool that like whenever you have his internal model like dialogue going, like his thoughts,
oh yeah,
it's
it's in the
his
little
original voice.
yep.
Like it's his not his character's voice. It's his like normal human voice.
And I mean that's definitely a good distinction
Oh yeah,
because
it's great to be able to tell the like when he's just thinking.
so and then okay, so obviously artistic direction aside, then we get into the last arc, and that's Shaltier,
Yeah.
and I don't know. I thought it was all right, and it made sense that the final real like hurdle would be one of his own.
Yeah, but like I saw a comment when I was reading the manga itself that like is somebody was saying they got confused because in the anime it just kind of like it just showed her attacking the bandits and then just somehow she was just like mind controlled and they didn't do a good job of explaining it.
They they didn't do a good job until after it was resolved. It starts off like so obviously I've watched some of the second season, but they don't really go over how it happened until season 2. So so
They do in the manga though. Like
okay.
they explained what happened where like it showed her like the bandit leader dude was escaping. She chased after him and then there was just like some knights or whatever and one there was like this one like I think it was like some like elderly lady or something like that and a knight was holding a shield that was a world class item.
Yeah. And it's one of those things that that again, like I think they did it right for the time because it gave because they left it as a cliffhanger for season 2.
Yes.
Where if you didn't have season 2, I'd say that it was a major fault in the show. But
Maybe they got approved ahead of time.
but here's the kicker, and I don't know how I don't know how the manga is established, but the first season is obviously about Ainz and his experiences in this world, right?
Yes.
In the second season, it's a lot of side characters and a lot of characters that aren't necessary that are like surrounding it. So it kind of like evens out a lot of other characters, but I hear it goes, and I'm not a huge fan of that because I think that just one perspective is more than enough, and you have more than enough material available. But it goes back to Ainz and his adventures on the third one. I haven't seen the third one. I'm only halfway through the second. So, but it's one of those things that I think that there is kind of a commitment after you get past season 1.
Yeah.
Because you have that little bit that's in season 2 that kind of explains what happened and why people need to be cautious. But there's a lot in season 2 that feels like filler. And I'm not sure how it goes in the manga, but it's one of those things. It's like it's talking about Seabass. It talks about Victim and Cactus. I can't remember what his name is.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
But those are kind of like the storylines that I've seen throughout, and you don't really get a good sense of progression because it's all different characters progressing.
Yeah.
So, I'd say if there is a fault in the show, that it's definitely on season 2 where you're not focused on what's actually going on, and the whole buying back of Shaltier.
The what?
So Shaltier gets destroyed.
Oh yeah, when they resurrected her.
Yeah, so the resurrection was kind of just lackluster for me.
Like it did show that they can't do it often because it did a good job of representing like how like in order to resurrect them if something happens it is a heavy cost like money wise.
Yeah, but it also like I don't know, just feels a little disingenuine.
Yeah, I don't know, from the looks of it like they definitely cannot do it maybe one or two more times because like they were in the treasury and it just like
Emptied it.
melted.
Yeah. And that was just the thing that came to mind was like um I I would have liked to see him deal with loss.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But at the same point, I can see why they wouldn't want to do it that early on. But if you have a revival like that early on, then it kind of trivializes a lot of the other stuff coming forward in the show. So
Yeah. I don't know. Like I can see it that way. I really can. But at the same time, it's like they did it in a. I think they did it in an okay way.
Yeah.
But I definitely want to talk about one of my favorite parts.
Okay.
It was when Ainz left to go like do the adventuring thing, and while he was gone, Obito went into his room and was just super sad and sulking on the bed, and I can never pronounce his name. Like the imp dude with the glasses, Demiurge.
Demiurge.
Yeah, something like that. He comes in wondering what she's doing, and she's just like, "I miss Lord Ainz," and I can't remember what he says, but like she just starts like hugging a body pillow of him, and like Demiurge just looks at her. He's like, "Where did you get that?" She's like, "I made it."
I I actually dislike Albedo.
Really?
I
Like I don't mind her. Like she just adds like granted it is kind of annoying just how like unbelievably like love struck and clingy she is.
it's it's
But
so over the top, which is my
it's
problem with it.
I think it's better than if he would have just left that last line the way it was, the way she was originally programmed.
Oh, see, I think it would have been even funnier if she was just a bitch.
Oh no no no! Not a. It's not. That's not what was written. Her final line of like coding was, "She's also a slut."
Oh no, that wasn't. I don't think that was what it was. I think she was supposed to be Yandere.
Oh no! It like in at least in the manga, the text just flat out says at the bottom, "She's also a slut."
I might just be remembering that wrong. I thought she was supposed to be a Yandere, and
But
he just
then,
like
but
removed it because it was because he's like I don't like that, and
no, he changed the coding to "She loved him."
yeah.
She was in love with him. Like that's what he changed it from, like to that, and I'm just like, I thought that was just hilarious, and like it's over the top, but it's not common enough that it feels super over the top. But when it does happen, it is pretty heavy. But I just thought it was funny the fact that like she just randomly had like a body pillow of him, and like he's just wondering like, where did you get that? She's like, I made it along with our future children's shoes and clothes. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, no, that was absurd.
I laughed so hard at that just because it was so random.
Yeah, I don't. Like the show itself is solid. Season two is kind of like again, it's kind of where I'm trailing off. I'm probably not even gonna finish season two
Oh
and
dang.
continue on from there. And that's not because it's bad, but it's because like I feel like I've had enough of it. If that makes sense. Like
That's fair.
if it was more along the lines of Ainz and then goes through like that, but like these side characters are just not well put together.
Yeah.
Because
I mean,
like the interesting part of Ainz is Ainz knows. Like for example, the final battle with Shaltir, he knows what her moveset is and had to plan a way around it in order to beat her.
which that scene was awesome.
Again, it's really really good because it's more of it's like a battle in between wits, right?
Well, it's power over wits.
Power over wits, yeah. But that's the like that's what I find the driving force to be is Ainz and him trying to reason through these problems.
And then we see the power of pay to win.
Oh goodness, the pay to win.
I loved that where like Shaltir is just like, how did you get like my creator's bow or whatever? Oh, it was a how did he? It was a money. It was a money store item.
Yeah.
He's like, to be honest, it was just a money store item. It's like, what? Cash store.
Yeah.
And I'm like, are you kidding me?
So,
Like those popsicle sticks were just a cash item. I'm like, God damn it.
so I mean, some of that's just hilarious, but like,
Oh, it's great because it enforces the element of it was a game.
but that's the huge thing is that like it was a game. You know, like it's not like, oh, it is a game. They're in a game, or it's. But
Yeah.
like the past tense of that statement makes it so much better.
Yeah, and one of the things I do like is they mention HP and MP a lot, or like mana and everything, but they don't drive like the whole like, oh, game aspect, like, oh, this is a game, because it's not, because they don't show like bars are physical
Oh,
representations of those things.
I swear to
They
God,
just
the keeping track is the worst.
they just talk about it, which I'm like, that is actually good. Like they're still using those kinds of phrases and stuff, even though they like you can't see it.
Yeah,
Because that's just the way that they always refer to it.
but it leaves it. The thing is that it leaves wiggle room.
Yes.
Now, I say it leaves wiggle room. I don't mean it's Castlevania where bitch can make an entire ice pillar and still have mana after pulling a castle to her location.
You really have an issue with that.
I do. What's the point? But well, no,
Anyways.
no, like that's a thing too, though. You know what I mean? Like it gives them, so like in this case there's wiggle room, but there's no abuse of that.
Yeah.
And that's what I kind of wanted to get at, was that there's no, it's not over the top when it needs to be. It's, if it's supposed to be an equal playing field, then it's an equal playing field.
Yeah. No, we agree on this stance.
So, but I don't know. I think we got through a lot of it.
I know when I have to bring this up because it's really funny because like a lot of the times when other people recommend, like other than you, I'll when some of I'm dead serious on this because it's different. Uh, Whenever some of my other friends recommend like shows to me and stuff, like they recommended Overlord to me,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh, cool. And they like my favorite is people always assume or guess like, oh, you'll love this character, or like, oh, you'll this will be your favorite. And more often than not, they're wrong. Like so many people told me I would like my favorite character would be Albedo, and like I would love her. They're wrong. Pandora is cooler.
God damn it.
I'm dead serious. Pandora was such a funny, cool character. I loved him.
Fuck you, man.
Who's your favorite?
No fucking way.
Dude, Pandora was awesome.
No fucking way.
It's that when he first got shown, I laughed so hard, and I'm just like, that is awesome.
Ah, I hate him.
Why do you hate him?
Oh, I hate him. Oh, the cringe.
That's why he's funny. That's why he's awesome.
Doesn't
Would
mean
you
that.
stop saluting me? But you told me it was cool. I
Oh,
love how the entire thing was just every time like Ainz told him to stop, he's like, "But you told me it was cool to do this." And Ainz is just like, "I know.
no,
That's what
stop it.
I know, but it's embarrassing now."
Actually, I will say, this is actually a super rare thing for me to say. I actually like Ainz the best.
Like you actually like the main character the best.
I liked the main character because the main character had this, because it wasn't just that the main character had his, like, was one dimensional, like a lot of these shows are.
Yeah.
They aren't doing the right thing for doing the right thing. Like, he has his own conflicts going on, and is kind of the voice of reason at a lot of the times.
Yeah, no, you are completely correct on that. Where like a lot of the times, like his decisions, he'll say something, all the guardians want to do something, and he's just like, no, like that's not the case. Like, at the very end with Sheltier, like all the guardians wanted Ainz to punish her and like scold her and stuff. He's like, no, like this was my fault. I didn't like I sent you guys in not knowing.
Yeah.
He's like, it is not her fault. It is mine.
No, the one thing, or in terms of why Ainz is my favorite character, is him and Cocytus. Cocytus?
Yeah.
Where where he comes out and is like, you are going to lead this army against this group of people. And he doesn't do it. He doesn't put anybody else at risk. He literally he just gives them a whole bunch of undead throw the undead at him to see if they can learn things beyond their original scope.
Yeah, have them learn past what they were programmed to know.
But through doing that, he didn't actually press anything too far,
No, and he always kept an eye on everything.
which is which is why I like him as a character, because he makes those decisions to better everything.
Yes, he is being a guild leader. He is being the leader.
I mean, he's not just being the leader, but like he's being a leader that also like is pressing other characters to be leaders too.
Yes,
Because
he's made in case because he's said it multiple times. He's like, I don't know if I will always be here.
yeah, and
So
that's
he wants them to be able to learn and function without him.
that's just why I thought that, like, not that it was necessarily my favorite part. Again, it was in season 2, but it was one of those things that like solidified that, or exemplified that there's so much more going on behind that. Because yes, he's invading, yes, he's starting a war, but at the same point, he's learning things, and he also pushes um, this new development on his other characters.
Yeah. No, like it. You are like Ainz is a really good character. Like he's up there for me. Like I honestly a lot of these characters I enjoyed, but
I mean,
just
the thing is you don't get a whole lot of them until at least season 2. Again, you meet Pandora, but like Sebas has his arc, and I actually kind of liked his arc. His arc was interesting. I didn't really get too much out of it, but it was interesting. And then who was the other one that had a little bit of a thing going on? I can't remember.
I think you said like Victim.
I mean, Victim showed up, but there wasn't an arc for Victim, and I wasn't
Hmm.
quite sure what they were there for. But anyway, it doesn't really matter because like that was just kind of how things worked out. Where just the fact that Ainz is a complex character with intimate knowledge of the surroundings, which made it so that he's able to make these decisions in a way. Because okay, so like you get to a lot of other shows, right? And the main hero is just blatantly freaking overpowered. We've been over this, right?
Yeah, no, go ahead.
But like Ainz is obviously super 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 powerful, but he's not invincible.
And he knows he's not.
And he knows he's not. But that's the catch right there, is that he's not ultimate. He's not I might say some shows that you haven't seen yet. In Another World with a Smartphone. What's some of the other ones? The got reincarnated as a slime. where a lot of these so I'm going to put those two out there where they have some sort of ability that makes them pretty much the ultimate life form, right?
Yeah.
And he's up there in power, but he is not invincible, and that's what makes it much more interesting to watch.
Yeah, because he knows his limitations.
So when the difference comes down to it, like when you're actually getting to that point of splitting hairs on who's better, he is not because he's super strong or broken or because plot armor, but because he has some sort of knowledge that lets him win.
Yeah, because look at when he was fighting Sheltier. Like he's flat out said he's like, like if it weren't for me being able to deceive you, I would have lost.
Oh yeah, no, totally. Or like,
Because he said like if you would have been a little bit more cautious and played the long game a little bit more, I would have lost without a doubt.
yeah, but that's the reason why I say that this is a much better example of a good show for this style of genre, is because it's not something that you can do in another type of show. If you have a show, let's just do like My Hero Academia, right?
Yeah.
Like the strength comes from the characters and through their abilities and not necessarily through their intelligence. Like, you can't tell me that All Might is the strongest character because he's smart. Because he's a dumbass. He just literally punches things hard.
On the other end of the spectrum with that, like Midoriya, he's actually intelligent and he has to think and to be able to like control his power and stuff. And like later on in the series with like the manga and everything, like it shows his intelligence with having to think things through.
Yeah. But again, that's a good show. Um, but like a lot of the bad shows make it even more evident.
Yeah.
And you know what? Do you want to see me get crucified in the comments if anybody watches this far?
Oh, good lord.
Goku is a fucking idiot.
Oh no, he's retarded.
Like,
Oh, my bad for using that word. I guess because it's the internet.
oh, God forbid somebody.
I know, right?
Yeah, no, screw that. Anyway,
Let's not open that can.
but he's abnormally stupid. Literally, the only reason why he wins is because he just has more power for some reason. It doesn't matter what the reason is.
Saiyan's gotta win.
But that's where the breakdown for what I find to be a good show is for people to push past boundaries, not through just randomly gaining power, but by using their brain.
So you don't like anything shonen.
I'm I'm not saying they can't be entertaining, but I find that there is a problem when it gets to that point. because randomly just having more power than your opponent only works to a certain point.
Yeah. You can only overpower so much.
Well, before it gets like absolutely ridiculous, in which case it's no longer what it is and it's a parody. I mean, let's be honest, right? Like the reason why One Punch Man is so good is because it's a parody. It knows what it is. The thing is that a lot of shows that work that way don't realize that they're just a parody of what they want to be. Like, either commit to the parody or, like, I don't know, create a character that's worth following. Just my opinion.
Yeah.
But did we talk for so long on this?
Oh yeah, we've been rambling pretty hard.
All right, I'm gonna call it then.
We're done. Just cut it.
Yep. Bye.